Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video we are talking about some things that can make a house look ugly and how you can fix them. We've got some things to talk about, but before we get into the video, I want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to today's video sponsor, Nuzzy. The Nuzzy is the iconic weighted blanket that I absolutely love. Each one is crafted using over 500 recycled plastic bottles, resulting in uncompromising sustainability. I absolutely love the open knit design because unlike other weighted blankets, this is not just a sack full of beans, it actually has even weight distribution, so there is no shifting. Its open knit design means it's also perfect for all types of weather. They're available in a wide variety of colors and sizes, meaning there's a Nuzzy available for every space in every home. I love sleeping with my Nuzzy on my bed because I wake up after an amazing night's sleep from the benefits of this weighted blanket, refreshed and ready to start my day. Be sure you check out the link in the description box and use my discount code GarrettLeChic to get 10% off any order. Now my Nuzzy is beautiful, but you know what isn't and makes a house look ugly but is easy to fix is dirty carpets. I'm not a wall-to-wall carpet lover. I much prefer a solid surface because they're easy to maintain and clean, and wall-to-wall carpets get dirty. That's a thing that happens and it's normal in every home. However, there is nothing worse than walking into a home and being like affronted with filthy, stained carpet. And not to mention smelly. Life happens and we have pets, we have dogs that sometimes they make a little mess, and that's okay. Having your carpets cleaned regularly is vital to having a fresh and clean home, so be on the lookout for local carpet cleaning companies that can clean, deep clean, and sanitize those wall-to-wall carpets. You know what else kind of makes a home look a little bit ugly if it's not done right? Red oak trim. This was popular in the 70s and the 80s, and it definitely has a little bit of a dated feeling to it. Now, I'm not that person that's just like, immediately paint your wood trim, because I don't always think that's the answer. With this red oak trim, it has a red-brown undertone that, if it is paired with a muted off-white wall color, looks dingy, old, dated. So what are the answers to that? Number one, and the easiest, is to paint your trim, but you might not want to paint your wood trim, and that's okay. Look for a fresh wall color, something that has a very neutral or cool tone to it to juxtapose that kind of warmth, that little bit of aged feeling this trim can have. Now, I think if you want to paint your trim, you should consider doing that. And as a general rule of thumb, anything from like the 80s onward typically doesn't have a lot of historical value. But with that said, look into the history of your home and the space and the type of wood you have there to determine whether or not it's appropriate to paint it or refinish it, because not every type of wood should be refinished or painted. Definitely look into it and consider it, and you don't just have to paint a room or everything white for it to feel fresh or current or updated. So be on the lookout for colors that feel really interesting and unique, and that will work to give that space a really fresh feeling and look that some of these spaces with red oak trim can have. Something that I cannot help but notice and always makes a home look ugly, any space, I don't care how luxurious or beautiful it is not closing your toilet lid. Nobody wants to walk into a bathroom and see an open toilet lid. It's literally like nobody wants to see it. I just can't stand it. It doesn't matter how beautiful your space is or how much effort or money you put into that. You can have a masterpiece marble bathroom, but if you don't close that toilet lid, I'm not seeing all of that. I'm seeing an open toilet bowl. Nobody wants to be affronted with that. It's low-key a little bit disgusting. And that's not a groundbreaking idea, but some of you will be shocked, or some of you will be showing this to your husbands and saying, hey, look at, even Garrett agrees, close your toilet lid. Nobody wants to see the inside of the bowl. And for that matter, also look for other things that make your home look a little bit messy or disheveled. The next thing that can make your house look a little bit ugly and definitely distract from the beautiful things you already have happening is different types of wood or wood look flooring touching. Now, this is not something you can always avoid. You can't always match your floors perfectly or find the exact material you used before, so you have to use a different one or go in a different direction. You may not be able to match that stain. You may not be able to match the width of the flooring. That's all okay. Use something that looks different or is obviously different, or get as close as you possibly can. But the key here is turn it in a different direction. Wood floors typically run in one direction, and if you turn them the other way, you immediately juxtapose it, and nobody is sitting there saying like, oh wait, these are two completely different floors, or wait a second, is that stain color slightly different? You feel like you're entering a different space and it's a different type of flooring. The different atmosphere feels intentional, and that's the way you want to go about doing those renovations. I know that you really want to probably match that flooring exactly, and that's not always possible. You can definitely make it work for you, just give it that little bit of consideration. Obviously, the answer here is to have all of the floors be perfectly matched. If you can change them all at once, do it, or if you can match some historic or vintage older wood floors, absolutely I recommend doing it. Just keep in mind that if you have to compromise, make it feel intentional. Let's talk about something that we can all agree is maybe not ideal and a little bit ugly, and that is that 70s wood look paneling. Now in the 70s, we saw a lot of really amazing design, but not all of it was really great, and we saw a lot of brown. Ooh, what you can do about that? Paint it. Paint it a color, paint it white, paint it something moody and dark. That can be really interesting. The important thing to remember with this 70s kind of style paneling, first of all, most of it is just vertical lines. A lot of vertical lines, and it can feel really good. It can feel like board and batten or shiplap. That's okay, but paint it and get a good job on that. I obviously recommend you have it professionally painted because you're gonna get the best finish and the best quality job you possibly can. Now, the color you choose to do this in can really affect the style of the space because you have all of these lines happening. If you opt for something white, you may end up with something that feels a little bit more like a cottage or a little more coastal, and that's okay. But if you opt for something darker, you can actually have a space that looks and feels a little bit more modern. And I know the easy answer is say like, just rip it out and start over, but it's a lot of work and can be very expensive. So painting it is a much easier way to update and refresh the space, even if it's just for the interim time period or if you're testing out how it looks. And hey, if you don't like how it looks painted, you can always have a contractor out and get some ideas as to what you can do differently. You all know every week I'm trying to bring you interesting, new, and relevant information to help you improve your homes and your life. So if you haven't already, take a moment and hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn that bell notification on to get notified every time I upload so you don't miss a video. And after you've done that, be sure you let me know in the comments section down below so that I can personally welcome you to the channel. You know what drives me crazy? I can't stand, and immediately it like glares out to me, is when I walk into a kitchen and I can see the underside of the cabinetry, the upper cabinets, is a different color. What is with that? I feel like it's so common and we see it all of the time. Unless you're going custom, you usually always have like the underside of your cabinets is just a lighter birch looking wood. No matter what the cabinetry is, whether it's like stained cherry and gorgeous, beautiful, if it's oak or if it's a painted cabinet, the underside of it is always that color. I don't get it. I don't love that. And if you're not going custom and you're going with pre-manufactured cabinetry, you kind of can't get away from it. So definitely have a professional out to see what you can do about that. Maybe that's paint it, maybe that's restain it, maybe you have a piece of trim added there so you can't see it. Your kitchen is going to need something specific to the space. So definitely look into what you can do with that. And while you're at it, have some under counter lighting added into the space to increase the productivity and usefulness of a kitchen. I absolutely love that. But be sure that you can't see the underside of those cabinets, especially if it doesn't match, if it stands out. Like you walk into the space, you look at photos and it's like, why is it a different color? Doesn't make any sense because if the cabinetry is painted, if it's stained, it should match, right? I don't think that necessarily makes a home look ugly because it's so common. We're kind of predisposed to accept it, but I don't understand why we see it so often. Definitely look at having that changed if you are looking to upgrade the space, if you're looking just to take that next step up. There is one thing we should all agree on. Every person should be on board with this. Some people are not, and it needs to be addressed. Once again, I'm not gonna call it word art because that's not what it is. They're word signs. Having too many of them is ugly. We all agree on that. So limit yourself. Listen, I can get behind a funny little thing. I can get behind a little quote that's inspirational that you really love. Okay, I might roll my eyes, but still, be sure if you have a sign that's funny, we're laughing with you, not at you. We don't want to see them all over the place because they can make a space feel so cluttered and busy, and we just don't want that. We want real art that says something about you, not says a quote that somebody else came up with? Why not find a piece of art by a local artist or someone who's yet to be discovered that says something more about you? And if you are like, Garrett, I don't want to spend a ton of money on a really fantastic oil painting, like, okay, maybe I can't relate, but there are some amazing art prints out there also that you can get that are by those small artists that you can support them and get something that's affordable and beautiful that represents your home, your family, your life, instead of just having some words on the wall. Definitely look into that, because having the word signs is everywhere. It's a little bit ugly, it's a little bit overdone, and I can get behind one or two of them, but that's it. And having real art isn't generic like having these word signs that we see everywhere. Sometimes when you're renovating your home, you do things in phases. As you can afford them, as you have the budget for them, or as you discover the material you really want to use. But one thing that makes a house look ugly is when you don't remove that extra splashback in your kitchen. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a splashback versus a backsplash. The splashback is that little piece of countertop that you have against your wall when you don't have a tile or a stone or slab cut backsplash. You have that little piece there to help preserve the drywall behind your countertops, and that's fantastic. But when you are doing things in phases and you're adding a backsplash afterwards, it needs to come down, needs to get off the wall, because it's distracting from the backsplash you spent all the money on. You already put that investment into the countertops. They're gorgeous, we love them. You're doing this really fantastic tile job on the backsplash. We can take that off because it simplifies things and it lets us see the beautiful backsplash that you're having installed. Definitely look at having that splashback removed before you install a backsplash, because it makes the space look so much more finished and luxurious instead of distracting from all of the beautiful stuff you have happening. Having that still there, like remaining when you tile everything, it's a little bit ugly. It looks a little bit like a budget job or like a DIY project. So definitely do the job right and remove that before you add a backsplash in. Now, I love drapes. I'm a drapery person. I love them everywhere. I think that's the easiest way to upgrade any space. If you have a room that's looking a little bit stark, it looks a little bit like budget friendly, affordable, add some really fantastic drapes to the space and it will immediately elevate it. But that's not all that we're talking about. I'm talking about when your drapes are just too short, and not when you take them to the middle of the baseboard versus to the floor. Like, I take them to the floor because I like that really custom tailored look. I think it's very polished, but some people like them just a little bit higher so you can get your vacuum underneath it and clean out from under them, whatever. That's fantastic. But I'm talking about when they're just obviously too short. It looks like you went to the clearance section at the box store and you were like, look at, there's drapes, there's 2 of them here, let's get them, great, fantastic, lovely. No, it doesn't look finished or polished, and it immediately is like, oh, that looks affordable, it looks like a budget job was done. And the reality is, maybe it was, and that's okay, but having those drapes fit the space really beautifully will upgrade, elevate, make everything look so much more designer and polished and finished. Something else to consider is that if you get some drapes, if you already have them, take them to the seamstress you're going to use and say like, hey, how much is in the hem here? Can we lower this? Can we raise it, sort of a thing? Because the drapes you have might already work. If they're an inch or 2 off, you usually have extra fabric there that you can then have reworked to make them the correct size. One of the ugliest things your space can have is clutter. And there's 2 different types. We have visual clutter and actual clutter. Visual clutter is when you just have a lot of busy things happening. You have really big, vibrant art over here, over there, and patterns all mixed together in bold colors that don't seem to have a rhyme or a reason. And I'm not talking about maximalism, I'm talking about clutter. So be sure you're not adding too much to a space, or that you bring in something that will tone things down a little bit in terms of the color, not physical objects. Now, we also have physical clutter, which is just having too much stuff in the space. When your space is crowded, it doesn't feel beautiful, it feels ugly, because we're like, oh my goodness, what is happening here? It's all distracting from everything that's going on. You can have 1,000,001 beautiful things, but if they're all in the same space, you can't see any of them. Nobody wants their home to feel like a storage unit that's packed to the rafters. So be mindful of what you have where, and that you don't have every single surface covered in something, that there's actually room to sit on the sofa and it's not covered and piled up with pillows, that you have a little bit of space on the table to set down your drink. Be sure you're not over cluttering the space, because it will distract from the beautiful things you have happening, and it doesn't look attractive. It looks kind of ugly when everything is really crowded and busy. So removing some of those things will allow the beauty to shine through, and it costs you nothing, and I think that's amazing. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure you share with me in the comment section down below, and share with me what is one thing that you immediately notice and you're like, nope, the entire place is ugly. It ruined the whole thing. I want to hear from you. Be sure you give this video a like and you hit that subscribe button. I also know that you know someone that they are moving into their first home, or they're moving into a new space, and you're like, hey, Garrett has some really good advice. You should know about it. Share this video with them, because friends help friends, and I will see you in the next one.